that special.
A 2020 Vote News Special.
We got a real special treat for you guys tonight.
This special is powered by North Park Lexus Rio Grande Valley. Here's Sergio Sanchez.
Okay, let's get right to it. We've got to talk about the election. I'm Sergio Sanchez, and our guests this hour, the whole hour, Ivan Ramon, Hidalgo County Elections Administrator, Remy Garza, Cameron County Elections Administrator. A very big thank you to all the good folks at North Park Lexus Rio Grande Valley. And as you heard, they're helping out with that big scholarship fundraiser for the golf tournament. We'll talk about that later. Folks, thank you for allowing us some time today, both Yvonne and Remy. Let's catch up to speed. They all say it's a record turnout so far. So, Remy, let's start with you. As far as the turnout so far in Cameron County, share some of the data that you're looking at.
Well, we've had 53,263 people vote so far early in person. We've also received 7,753 ballots by mail. So we're at 61,000 ballots that have been cast in this election already, which is 27% of our voter registrations. So it's really exciting to see this level of participation. It's slowing down as was expected for the middle of the early voting period, and we fully expect it to ramp back up as we close out the period at the end of next week.
The mail-in vote that came in so far, Remy, the 7,700 plus, how does that compare to like the 2016 mail-in vote?
In 2016, we had about 3,300 mail-in ballots, so it's pretty significant. We still have another 3,000 or 4,000 that are outstanding that we were just sending out from people who've we've just mailed them to, but we're expecting to get in, pretty significant number. I wouldn't be surprised if we hit the 10,000 mark on our ballots by mail.
The rules would be the same for Cameron and Hidalgo County. When do they start opening up those mail-in votes and start counting, Remy? Is it election day or is it before that when the ballot board starts counting? When does that happen?
Given the large number we received, we're expecting to have our early voting ballot board convene on Saturday, right after early vote closes, so that we can start verifying the signatures and we can then start getting them prepared to be processed. We think we're going to actually start processing ballots, running them through the high-speed counters, probably on Sunday afternoon.
Okay. Yvonne, that's Remy Garza, our Cameron County Elections Administrator, along with Yvonne Ramon, or Hidalgo County Elections Administrator. If you'd like to call in a question, our producer, Freddie, will take that question off air and lob that over to me. You need to get that question in now, 800-580-8255. Okay, some of the raw numbers, I'm guessing record numbers for Hidalgo County voter turnout. Yvonne, what do you say?
Oh, definitely. 9 days of early voting in 2020. We have over 103,000 people that have voted in person compared to 9 days of early voting in 2016 that had a record high back then of 97,000. So we've got 391,271 registered voters thus far. So as you can see, we still have quite a few people that need to head out there to vote if they decide to vote in person. By mail ballot, we surpassed them already. In 2016, the total at the end of the early vote period, we have 7,409. And in 9 days, we have already received back in our office 12,457. And as Remy said, we have 7,300 ballots still out there that need to make their way back to this office because we have mailed out 19,763 thus far. So quite a few ballots still out there. They need to make their way back in, and quite a few number of registered voters that still need to make their way in to vote.
The deadline for requesting a mail-in ballot, that's tomorrow, right, Yvonne?
Yes, and this is a very important bit of information that our voters really need to listen. If you find that you still have your application to vote by mail in hand and you put it in the mail today, chances that we are getting it tomorrow are slim. So remember, deadline tomorrow, October 23rd, not postmarked, but received. So this is what you can do. You can go ahead and if you have the availability of scanning and emailing or faxing, that gets you 4 more business days. So if you scan and email today or fax today, we have to have that original in hand by next Wednesday, the 28th. If you wait until tomorrow, we have to have that original application in hand by Thursday, the 29th. So that buys you 4 business days. So if you need that email address and that fax number, call our office, 318-2570, and make sure that your original application is put in the mail, but not until you email or fax us.
And that's key, because once you get that original and you process and send out the mail-in ballot to the voter, that's still going to work its way through snail mail and get to the voter sometime maybe like late next week, right? If things work out okay, which means the voter either needs to go in person to the one drop-off site in Hidalgo County or Cameron County for Remy and leave it there, or stick it in the mail and cross fingers and toes, hoping that it makes it to your office by the end of the business day, the day after election. Are those the rules?
If it's postmarked. So if you are sending your ballot back late for arrival, with the Postal Service taking a little longer, then make sure that you walk into that post office, that you get it postmarked, because then that gets you an additional day. The next business day, which would be then Wednesday, the 4th of November, you get 24 more hours. So make sure you're doing all these little things and you're asking to do this right.
Yeah,
I do want to mention.
Go ahead, Remy. Sorry.
I do want to mention that if you're not comfortable with the United States Postal Service, you can actually use FedEx and UPS to have those delivered to our office as well. Or if you have a commercial carrier in your community that normally delivers packages and letters, you can use them as well to get it to us. As long as it's a common carrier or a commercial carrier, you can use those as well.
When a voter goes to the elections office in Hidalgo or Cameron County to drop off that mail-in vote in person, they're asked to register, right? They're asked to produce an ID and all that. I seem to recall that being a part of the conversation last time I spoke with either one of you. I think Yvonne, I think you're the one who was telling me that folks need to register if they come in and drop it off in person, right?
That's absolutely right. If you mail it, no ID required. But if you hand deliver it, and keep in mind, you are the only one that can deliver this. You cannot send someone to hand deliver that mail ballot. So that's point number 1. Point number 2 is we are going to ask for voter ID, and you are going to have to be verified and sign a roster. And then you can go ahead and turn that ballot into us. Different from mailing, but secure and sure.
Yvonne Ramon, Hidalgo County Elections Administrator. Remy Garza, Cameron County Elections Administrator. You're listening to a special news report, News Talk 710 KURV, the 2020 election. We got just a few more days for the early vote. Big thank you to North Park, Lexus, Rio Grande Valley for this special program. One of the questions that came in on curbside, and I've seen a few curbside questions come in, all again asking if all locations, early vote locations, Hidalgo and Cameron County, are offering curbside, including, and this one goes back, well, actually goes back to both of us in Cameron, Hidalgo County, because they're asking about the UTRGV campus. Does UTRGV campus Brownsville, Remy, have a curbside?
Actually, the polling location is located at Texas Southmost College at the Jacob Brown Auditorium that serves that the UTRGV campus and the TSC campus. And yes, they do have curbside. All polling locations, either early voting or election day, have curbside available, as we have in the past, and I'm sure we will do in the future.
UTRGV, Edinburgh, Yvonne, they're a polling location. They have curbside campus, but that's quite a walk between the polling location. So how does that work? Where they need to find a special sign to park there, and somebody will be, looking, making sure that they're there? Or do they call a phone number?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We've got 31 locations and 31 buzzards. So you then look for the signage and you buzz, and that alert sound will then let the poll workers inside know that there is someone outside waiting. So we call it buzz and park. And you park and you wait for an election poll worker to come out and assist you.
I would imagine that at the college, Remy, at TSC, and also at our university polling station, and also South Texas College, STC in McAllen, the numbers might be different this year because, for example, UTRGV is working off of a hybrid attendance at the moment. They don't have all the thousands of college students on campus like they did before. And I don't mean to put you on the spot. I should have asked you this before, Yvonne and Remy, but if it's quick access to you, I would love to compare what the college and university numbers are right now compared to 2016. If you want some time for that, we can visit those numbers maybe after the commercial break. But that's something I was looking at. Another question that came in from one of our listeners, Mr. P, saying, how can you know if the mail-in vote was received? How can I know if you receive my mail-in vote? Remy, what would you say to Mr. P?
We have a couple of ways. We have a link on our website at CameronVotes.com that allows people to enter certain specific information, and they can track their ballot to see if we've actually received it in our office. This is a different program from when we're tracking it to see where it is in the postal system, but they're able to see whether we received their application, has it been uploaded, did we mail out a ballot, and we'll then see if we've actually received it, it's been returned to our office. Or they can call us at the 544-0809.
Yvonne, something similar, Hidalgo County?
That's awesome, Remy, that he has that app that is able to track. That's something that we're looking at. We ran out of time, but certainly something for the future. But you can call us 318-2570, and we will be able to tell you. You can also email us and ask us, and I've been doing a lot of responses, so email us at the Hidalgo County Elections email account, which is elections@co.hidalgo.tx.us, and ask us. Now, I do have those numbers right here for UTRGV,
okay,
if you're ready.
Again, looking at UTRGV voting right now compared to 2016, what do you have?
Yes, through yesterday, we had over 6,483 voters use that UTRGV location, which is awesome. I mean, it is one of our top vote getters, because we've got locations that are way under that, but consistently people have selected UTRGV to go and vote. Got a great team out there like we do at all the others, but it's up there, and very, very proud of that location.
Are you able to compare 6,400 now to a few years back, 2016, the last presidential?
I've got it right here. Let's see.
Okay.
UTRGV, yes, I have it. UTRGV at the end had 5,800. And that was at the end. That was 12 days. So we're comparing to 9 days. So we have already surpassed with 9 days of early voting.
All right. Remy, I know you want to chime in. You got some numbers with college?
Yeah, actually, right now we've seen 788 people use our Texas Southmost College site. In 2016, for the entire early voting period, we had 2,762 that had utilized the college campuses. Because back in 2016, we were able to open them at different locations for a specific week, but the Texas legislature changed that. And so we could only find one campus. So in the past, the TSTC in Harlingen had 887 at their location. UTRGV had 1,255 at their location, and TSC had 620. So you can see there's been a sharp drop in the utilization of our college locations, just because, one, there's not students, and two, we're limited as to where we can place it.
Yeah, and big difference over at Edinburgh University, pretty much in downtown, right near the courthouse, and just it's probably a relief valve for all the traffic near the Hidalgo County Elections Office and at the annex. You're listening to a special news program, Election 2020, News Talk 710 KURV. I'm Sergio Sanchez. Our guest this hour until 10 a.m., the Hidalgo County Elections Administrator, Ivan Ramon, and from Cameron County, our Elections Administrator, Remy Garza. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for the emails. Keep sending them. Freddie will filter and write down your questions as well at 800-580-8255, 800-580-TALK. And since we are doing the 710 KURV Facebook Live broadcast, during the commercial breaks, I can go fish and see if you posted a question there as well. A very big thank you to North Park Lexus Rio Grande Valley for the special news report.
What do Vamos, Lexus, and Pebble Beach have in common? one chance of a lifetime. 2, golfers playing for the future of our young students in RGV. 3, golf courses at Pebble Beach. And 4 days of complimentary golf, travel, and resort in anticipation of the 25th anniversary of the prestigious annual Vamos Golf Tournament. North Park Lexus of the Rio Grande Valley invites you to support raising scholarship money for college education for graduating seniors in the RGV area. For only $100, please support by purchasing the coolest raffle ticket you've come across in a while. Play Pebble Beach for a portion of $100,000 prize money on behalf of Vamos, sponsored by Lexus Champions for Charity. Support the Valley Alliance of Mentors for Opportunities and Scholarships. Call or visit North Park Lexus RGV today, or find us online for additional details, or contact Vamos directly. But don't delay. Prize drawing is scheduled for November 7th. North Park Lexus RGV reserves the right to make sure you too can help make a dream come true.
Your calls and comments and special guests. The Drive Home, weekday afternoons at 4. News Talk 710 KURV.
Time is 9:21. This is News Talk 710 KURV. We're live at Facebook as well, 710 KURV Facebook Live. You can post comments, questions on this KURV 2020 election news special, made possible by North Park Lexus Rio Grande Valley. Our elections administrators for Hidalgo and Cameron County are guests right now. We are fielding your questions. You need to get them over to producer Freddie at 800-580-8255. Iran Ramon from Hidalgo County, Remy Garza from Cameron County, our guests. Polling locations that are the busiest and might have a little too much traffic for some folks who just want to get in and out. Which sites are traditionally the most busy in Hidalgo County, Yvonne?
Oh, definitely. The top 2 are always the Elections Annex Building right here in Edinburgh and Lark Community Center in McAllen. From there, we've got the large locations like in Westlaco. The Business and Event Center is always very, very high. We've got in FAR, of course, Jose Pepe. Anywhere else, if you look at your ballot and you have a local election, a local race, we've got mayoral, we've got commissioners, we've got charter amendments. So take a look at those, and those will usually also drive out the voter because we've got 24 additional local elections taking place along with your federal, state, and county. So those will always drive out the vote. Mission Parks and Recreation has quite a few voters out there. So take a look at our early voting unofficial voter turnout. And there are quite a few that are slowing down. You don't have a lot of time. Go ahead and take advantage of those locations that have slowed down and don't have a lot of traffic.
I know folks would like to hear which days see the least traffic. What would that be, Yvonne? What would you recommend, even for the busier places? What would be the least traffic days?
Midweek, and don't go during the lunch hour, and don't go right after 5, because people who work are heading out there during their lunch hour and heading out there after work. Sundays is always a very peaceful, very easygoing, although we had quite, over 2,000 on Sunday. Usually it's much lower than that. And that in itself is not a high number. So Sunday, 10 to 3 at all 31 locations, midweek, not noon and not after 5. And I think that will be your best bet.
Remy Garza, Cameron County Elections Administrator, the busiest sites for Cameron County. What do you see?
We see the Brownsville Public Library at the main branch is always our most active site. They processed over 8,000 people already. And then in a close second is actually going to be the newest location, the Super Center, the Brownsville Event Center, where we're sort of facilitating the curbside voting, is seeing just as much traffic there, no pun intended. The other locations that are really busy are in Harlingen. You're going to have your county annex on Wilson Road, or the Harlingen Cultural Center next to the library. And to reiterate what Yvonne was talking about is, on the first day, we had close to 400 people per hour voting at all our locations. And on a Sunday, it drops down to like 97. So you can tell that there are certain days where the pace is a lot slower, usually in the middle of the week. And exactly, she said, if you go between 10 and 11, and then again between 3 and 4, and then after 6, because the polls will be open until 7 o'clock, is going to be your best time.
And if memory serves me right, Thursday and Friday, the final 2 days of early vote, you guys get slammed. All the polling locations, many of them get slammed, especially that Friday before the end of early vote, because people remember, oh, that's right, I had a chance, I better get in there. So chances are we might see numbers, what would you say, similar to the first day of early voting, or
Oh,
close to that?
definitely. Yes.
Yvonne?
First and last day, don't head out there if you're in a hurry. And make sure that, with this proclamation that Governor Abbott put out, we have an additional 6 days of early vote, 18 days. So no excuses. Don't wait till the very last moment. Make sure, and plus we're open from 7 to 7. We're open on Saturdays. We're open on Sundays. Don't wait till that Friday, October 30th. And remember that you haven't head out to the polls to vote. Do it now.
Hours of operation, pretty consistent in Hidalgo County, 7A, 7P. And as Yvonne mentioned, on the weekend as well, there's some work hours. Cameron County, I've noticed, Remy, Cameron County, you've been expanding the hours of operation. So where are we right now, and where are you headed between now and the end of next week?
We have all our locations open up from 9 to 7, 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. To process voters. On the weekends, it's 10 to 5 at all 24 locations. And the final week, we have our main office that's open up from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And then on the last 2 days, all locations will be open from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. So if you do have the time to go vote during the week, we strongly recommend it. You're right. We're going to see at least 8 to 10,000 people on Thursday and Friday of that last week. So we'll be back up to that 400 per hour rate. So it's important that if you want to take advantage of early voting, and we certainly recommend that you do, you need to be thinking about it for this weekend or the first 3 days of next week.
An election special, News Talk 710 KURV, the 2020 vote, or elections administrators joining us this hour and fielding your questions at 800-580-8255. You can also post your comment at News Talk 710 KURV, our Facebook Live page. You got to go to Facebook, unfortunately, people. But News Talk 710 KURV, you got the Facebook Live, and post your question there. We'll go fish for it. And you can email me as well, Sergio at KURV.com. Another question came in for an individual who registered toward the end of the registration deadline at the beginning of October. Is there a chance that she goes and will vote and her name will not be on the rolls? Yvonne?
Absolutely. But if you turned in your application by October 5th, your application is being processed and has already been processed, but possibly pending state verification, because that's something very important that the community needs to know. We neither accept or reject an application. It is actually sent to the Secretary of State's database, and they run your name, which is why it's very, very important that you list your name the way your ID is listed. Both have to match, and that's what they do. Then they send us back the confirmation.
Specifically your driver's license, right, Yvonne? That's what we're looking at, because we use several forms of picture ID, but it's the driver's license that's the main ID. Driver's license or state issued ID.
The driver's license or last 4 digits of your social. So that's what the state is running. The ID that you chose, either the full driver's license or the last 4 digits of your social. So if your name is Maria Rosario, don't put Mary. If that's how it's listed on your license, you have to write in Maria Rosario, and that way it's a quick identification. If not, good thing we've got 18 days of early voting, because right now the wheels are turning, they're turning, and they're trying to find you. And now, if you go and you let us know that you did register late, then go ahead and vote provisional. I don't know why people have such a negative thought process when it comes to provisionals. Those are good votes, because what that does, you fill out your information, then I am actually one of the second people on that team that start to look for you. Once we find you and we see that it's pending state verification, that vote will go through. If in fact it arrived late, because remember, the application to register is not the same as a mail ballot. As long as it is postmarked and it is received in this office 3, 4, 5 days after the deadline, it will still be processed, but it'll be at the tail end. We've got to remember 254 counties in the state of Texas sending that information into the state. So don't be the first one to go out and vote. If you want to check, call the office, email the office, and we will be checking for you as well.
Is the state of Texas updating the voter rolls for you daily or regularly as they do confirm new voters that registered, at the before the deadline at the beginning of this month?
Yeah, not only are they accepting them there and then forwarding them to us as quickly as they can, we're constantly uploading data that we have to make sure that people are getting qualified. And like Yvonne said, if you give us a little time, we'll probably get you in the system. It just takes a little while, and using your name on the application, the way it's on your driver's license, the structure that you have there, will be very helpful because we can usually get a quicker turnaround on those. If there's a question, we'll send you a letter that'll require an additional 10 days. But vote provisional if you want to go and get it in, because those votes count if you're qualified.
Remy, is the provisional vote a handwritten vote where it's a paper vote, paper ballot?
But in Cameron County, we use paper ballots across the board. And so you're marking an official ballot just like you would as if you had voted it through the ballot box or through the precinct counter.
Okay.
So it's a way of capturing your vote, and then giving us a chance to do the research to see if we either haven't gotten your application, or for some reason we were wrong in how we classified you for a given location. It gives us a chance to fix it so that when the committee meets a week after the election, they have the most up-to-date information available for them to decide whether they're going to accept or reject, and that generally those are accepted. I know people who use the DPS portal, or when they would go to the DPS office, sometimes the information wouldn't get to us, and we were able to do the research and actually save a lot of votes that way.
Well, let me go to the land. We got all the fancy schmancy voting machines. Hidalgo County, Yvonne Ramon. The provisional vote, is that a paper ballot in Hidalgo County?
No, actually, you are able to vote on the machine, but it is a pending vote. It goes into a different tally. So the votes that we are posting, those votes that I told you, 103,000, do not take into consideration yet the provisional vote because it's pending. And ballot board has to then accept or reject at that point. Now, Remy did bring up a very important point. The 10 days. If there is a question in regards to your application to register to vote, you are being sent a letter. Now is not the time to put that letter to the side and tell yourself, I'll take a look at it later, because you only have 10 business days to contact us to review that application with someone here in the office, and you get a second chance to send that through the state to get another chance to be sure to be registered. So read that letter, contact us, don't put it to the side.
Onus on the voter. Let's revisit that when we come back after a quick commercial and news break. Because there's follow-up work. If you did provisional voting, that's back on you, the voter. You got to follow up and make sure everything gets done. Yvonne Ramon is the Hidalgo County Elections Administrator. Remy Garza is the Cameron County Elections Administrator. You're listening to a special news program, the 2020 Vote, News Talk 710 KURV. Thank you for the emails. You know me personally. You can text me a question as well. Post your question at News Talk 710 KURV Facebook Live. This special news program made possible today by North Park Lexus, Rio Grande Valley.
North Park Lexus RGV is about people first. We are about you and our community before we are about amazing luxury vehicles. We build relationships that we intend to last for a lifetime. Our focus is your guest experience. As part of our fall celebration, North Park Lexus is offering you transparent posted pricing and amazing incentives. For example, take advantage of a brand new lease on a 2021 Lexus NX for only $399 a month with only $28.50 due at signing. Or same lease special for $499 a month with truly $0 due at signing. Visit us today. Go to northparklexusrgv.com. Experience North Park Lexus and experience amazing. All lease specials are subject to credit approval. lease specialist for 2021 Lexus NX, MSRP $39,510. Scheduled for 36 months, 7,500 miles a year. North Park Lexus RGV reserves the right to make sure that you too can have a dream come true.
Fox News, I'm Chris Foster. Judge Amy Coney Barrett is recommended for confirmation to the Supreme Court by the Senate Judiciary Committee, with all 12 Republicans voting in favor and Democrats just not showing up. Committee Chairman Lindsey Graham.
I've been here a while, and I've never seen anyone more capable than Judge Barrett on the law.
Full Senate confirmation is expected Monday. President Trump and Joe Biden debate tonight in Nashville with microphones muted during the other's initial answer to questions. Frank Fahrenkopf, co-chairman of the Commission on Presidential Debates, tells Fox it's not really a rule change.
They agreed that the first 2 minutes of each would be uninterrupted for each of them. Now, it didn't work out that way in the first debate, as you know. There were interruptions. So we haven't changed any rules. We just have put in the system where when one is talking just for that 2-minute period, the other can interfere.
Kristen Welker of NBC News is tonight's moderator. America's listening to Fox News.
710 KURV is operated by our communications group.
The Sergio Show.
Time is 9:36. News Talk 710 KURV. I'm Sergio Sanchez, and this is a news special. We're focusing on the 2020 vote, and our guest, the Hidalgo County Elections Administrator, Ivan Ramon. Remy Garza, the Cameron County Elections Administrator. Thank you for your calls, comments. We're trying to get the best questions out to you, to our administrators. So please call in your questions. Freddie will field the good questions. Send them over to us at 800-580-TALK. You can email me, Sergio@KURV.com, Sergio@KURV.com. You can also post your question at 710 KURV Facebook Live. A provisional vote is someone that maybe shows up to a polling location, and because that person registered late, or maybe the application to register to vote is running a bit late to be approved by the state of Texas, and eventually will be in the cycle. That person got it in late. A provisional vote, there is follow-up work that needs to be done by the voter. We cannot emphasize this enough. And Yvonne, tell folks real quick, if they voted provisionally, and I know you guys are encouraging people, if they're not on the rolls and people say, well, we can't find you here. I'm sorry, sir. I'm sorry, man. We can't find you. Vote anyway, because you know you were registered to vote. After they vote provisionally, tell them a quick checklist of what they need to be doing or looking out for in order to make sure their vote gets in by what deadline.
Well, it's a very important process. After that provisional comes in, my voter registration supervisor and manager, Belinda Sagredo, who has 33 years of experience, starts to try to find you. We do everything. We, check if perhaps there could be a name that's misspelled. Something kept this application from going through. So we're constantly looking for any pending state verification, for, checking with the state. And that early vote period actually allows the state to also do their thing, which is to send it through the state database and to check your ID against your application. So there are a lot of moving parts to this period after you have voted provisionally. We try our very best to find you. And you know what? A lot of times we do. There could have been, let's say your name is Rodriguez, but you ended with an S and we mistakenly wrote a Z. That could keep you from being on the rolls, because remember, the way that you fill out your application is the way that the state is looking for you. So a lot of moving parts to this. And so I encourage anyone that has that pending provisional vote to send it through. And I'll pass it over to Remy, because I think it's important to talk about when you register and update with DPS, Remy, because that's something that gets immediately taken care of.
Yeah, the provisional process, when the DPS uploads its data files, sometimes they still have some paperwork pending on the DPS side. So the record isn't getting uploaded as soon as the person actually says, yes, they want to register. So we're able to go back in time and find out what happened at that polling site, or at that DPS office. And now that things are being done online, you can even actually apply for the first time. And so it's going to be there's a lot more people that are taking advantage of that. And so getting the opportunity, the time to do the research, exactly as Yvonne said, is extremely important. And I do want to add to this that, when you're voting provisional, I mean, we have to take the good faith of the voter that they sincerely believe they're qualified to vote in the election. There are penalties if you attempt to vote in an election you're not qualified for. So we do everything we can to encourage people to vote provisional if they sincerely believe that they need to cast a ballot at a given race. But people shouldn't try to take advantage of that, because those issues are referred to our district attorney's office when people appear to be attempting to vote in races that they're not entitled to vote in.
One voter, Yvonne, who went to our Facebook Live section, explains the twilight zone that sometimes voters or family find themselves in. Ms. Nadia says that she helped her daughter, got everything turned in, registered to vote, but the voter card, the voter registration card, the voter card has not come back to them in the mail. And because she has an 18-year-old, I guess mom is a good mom, hasn't released gotten daughter a car to be driving around. So that's a good mom. Way to go, mom. But now she has an 18-year-old daughter who has no state ID and no driver's license. So what do you recommend to daughter and mom to do when it comes to voting?
Okay, very good question, because just because that certificate has not yet arrived at their home, that doesn't mean that that person is not already a voter. So I encourage them to go onto our website. It's www.hidalgocounty.us/elections. We've got this awesome app that says, click here to find your sample ballot. Click on that. And if you come up as an active voter, then you don't have to worry about your certificate not coming to you, because remember, what do you need in order to vote? She will need an identification. So if she doesn't, even if she has a receipt for her driver's license, it doesn't have to be the actual driver's license, she will then be able to vote. She doesn't need that voter registration certificate. With so much in the mail right now, we've got all the applications coming in. We've got the ballot kits going back to the voter. We've got ballots coming back to the elections office, and then certificates are being sent out. It could be a delay there, but don't let that keep you back. And if you still have a question, there is a special number for voter registration questions, which is 956-587-6286. That's 587-6286. And call the office and let's find out why you still have not received your certificate, but if you're ready to go and go vote.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
Remy.
I think
Go ahead.
Yvonne was talking about using the alternate forms of identification for somebody that doesn't have the photo IDs that are preferred. A bank statement or a utility bill or a paycheck or a check from the government or a letter from the government can suffice. But that also includes if your high school is issuing out ID cards and it has your name, your photograph, and the address on it, we can accept that as an alternate form of identification, but it has to be the original. Some things we can accept copies, and other things we have to have an original, specifically if it has a photograph on it. Because we have a lot of people that try to show us copies on their phones, the picture of their driver's license, but that's not sufficient. We need to actually physically have the license there with us. But there is a way to protect her and get, even if she doesn't have her voter certificate, in order to vote.
We're talking about many forms of potential alternate ID, and I can just hear the wailing and gnashing of teeth out there and people screaming at me. But ask what the fuck. See, they show, like you said, a bill or a government check, or as you were saying, Remy, a school ID as well. But they still need to be on the voter rolls in order for that vote to be counted. They need to be there. The confirmation was through the ID that was provided, but they still need to be on there, or eventually vote provisionally and still need to show up eventually for that vote to be counted.
Exactly. And I do have to say this right now. A school ID has to have your name and an address. You cannot just present a school ID from a university, for example, that only has your name. And you can only use these alternative methods of voter ID if you do not possess one of the original 7, being, your driver's license, being a military ID from all the different levels of military, being your passport, your certificate of naturalization, all those 7 that are listed, your personal ID from DPS, your hand carry DPS ID. Go on our website. There are 7 acceptable. If you possess one of these, you are not allowed to then go to the alternate method of voter ID with your list B is what we call it, which is what Remy was saying, a government check, a copy or original. You can even use a utility bill that is at least 2 months old, but it must have, list B must have your name and an address. It's important to say that the address does not have to match the voter registration roll. It can be another address, but you cannot just show up with a list B if it doesn't have an address. You will also be asked to fill out what is called a declaration of impediment, a quick form that just lets the Secretary of State's office know why. Why are you not able to obtain one of the 7? If one of the 7 is actually a free election identification certificate that is actually given by DPS for free if you are not in possession of one of the other 6. Lots and lots of available ways to vote with your ID, but that's one thing that needs to be clear. In order to vote, everyone must show an ID.
I think it's important to remember that if you fill out the reasonable impediment, that's an affidavit that has some penalties attached to it if you make misrepresentations. And these are qualified voters. These are people who are registered to vote, and they're just showing an alternate form of identification. I mean, prior to the ID laws, people used to use those documents in order to be acknowledged at the polling place and check in. So it may sound a little strange, but actually it's pretty well controlled. And the number of reasonable impediments that we're receiving is getting smaller and smaller as people are adjusting to the ID laws.
Election Special, News Talk 710 KURV. Any questions? Send them now. We've got about 12 minutes left in the broadcast. 800-580-8255. Email Sergio at KURV.com. You can also text me if you got my number. What is a poll watcher? What does that person do? And can I become one? Yvonne, what do you say?
A poll watcher is actually not a member of the elections office. A poll watcher is contracted by a candidate. Usually a candidate will look for people to be at the poll locations and be vigilant and be, watching out for what's happening. This poll watcher then is hired by a candidate, and a candidate has to fill out a form and they have to sign. And so all to do with poll watchers are not employees of the elections office. That's very, very important that people sometimes mixes up and they're calling us about issues with a poll watcher. Those actually have to go to the candidate because the poll watcher is supposed to be standing there, not talking to anybody, not, being happy-go-lucky and saying hi to the voters coming in. They're supposed to be just still, quiet. Any question that they have, they can only direct it to the judge at the poll location, but they are not allowed to be shaking hands and to be saying hello. Very, very important job for a poll watcher, but also needs to be quiet and vigilant about the activity at the poll location, hired by a candidate.
Remy, how long does a poll watcher have access to a polling location? Can that person stay in the corner all day long, or do you limit it? Because obviously you got plenty of candidates that might want to send in poll watchers.
Yeah, actually, poll watchers can be present at the polling location anytime the presiding judge is there and preparing the site for the election. So they can get there at 6 in the morning before the polls open up and watch the process of the judge setting up and the clerk setting up. And then at the end of the evening, they can actually follow the presiding judge as they bring back the election results, the records to our central count location. And like Yvonne was saying, is that they're an important part of the election because they're there to observe, to make sure things are being addressed correctly and we're following the rules. But they're observers. They're not referees. They're not participants. If they have questions, they bring them up only to the presiding judge, and they should not be conversing with voters and not creating scenes at the polling place. They're there to observe, and it's against the law for us to obstruct them from their job, but they certainly can't be in the middle of what's happening like they're a participant. They have to wear a name badge so people will recognize who they are, and they won't try to ask them questions that they would be addressing to a clerk or the presiding judge.
So the answer to the final question in that series was, can I become one? Yes, but the answer would be you need to work through a specific campaign to become a poll watcher?
Yeah,
Or can you just say, I'm here to watch the poll on behalf of Donald Trump or Joe Biden or something like that, just a regular citizen?
no, you have to be appointed by a candidate or the treasurer of a political action committee in order to represent them in the polls. And you have to be a registered voter of the jurisdiction where you're intending to poll watch. You can't just go from one county to another or one part of the state to another and present yourself as a poll watcher, even though there's candidates on the ballot. So it is controlled. There are requirements that have to be met, and there's even people who can't serve as poll watchers, such as elected officials or candidates or relatives of the clerks and the judge at the polling place.
And you must be a registered voter, correct, in order to be a poll watcher?
Absolutely, and you must be a registered voter of the jurisdiction in which they're asking you to observe. So, like Remy says, you cannot be a registered voter outside the district and then come and be a poll watcher. That's why they obtain the form from the candidate, and the candidate has to fill it out and sign. When they arrive at a poll location, they then turn that form into the judge at that polling location in order that they be allowed to be in the poll location. Because, people cannot just be in a poll location because I want to be. And like Remy said, I can't just show up and say, I want to be a poll watcher. It's the guidelines are very strict and they must be followed.
And when you said jurisdiction, but precinct, this is where precinct comes into play, right, Remy?
Yes, if it's a specific jurisdiction, like a constable that has a specific limited jurisdiction, if you're going in to watch for that constable, you have to be in his jurisdiction. But there's countywide candidates, and so if you're watching for a countywide candidate, you could possibly observe at any one of those locations. And you mentioned, we were talking earlier about how long they can serve. During early voting, poll watchers can come and go throughout the day. But on election day, they have to serve 5 continuous hours before they're allowed to come and go from the polling location, because there's information that is there in the polling site that if they release, there's severe penalties with respect to who's voting, who hasn't voted, and things like that. So it's an interesting way that the state has a third-party observer. Candidates have an interest in how the elections are conducted. And so, I think it's important that they serve.
Oh, I see.
Yes, and it's important to find that rapport with your polling location judge, because if you have to step out, there's got to be that communication only with them, because as Remy said, it's 5 consecutive hours before you are allowed to leave the poll location, while during early voting, you can come and go. So very important that there's a lot of information on the Secretary of State's website on wanting to be a poll watcher. And we encourage everyone to become educated and informed on what it is before you head out there, because the rules are strict, but they're very exact.
So the last thing Remy was saying, that there would be penalties for taking the information as an observer, going out there and reporting based on what voters are doing. Specifically, keeping an eye out, for example, making sure that at a specific polling site, you're waiting for Doña Chucha or Mr. Chemo to show up, and you saw them show up. Okay, good. That's what you were referring to, right, Remy? When the candidates will use that against the voters.
Exactly. If a poll watcher, were to step outside and use a cell phone to call a candidate and tell them how, if certain people are voting, that, hey, I saw this family voting. A lot of the Sanchez's are coming in. You need to make sure the Martinez's come in because we know the Sanchez support your opponent. Or if they say, why hasn't your grandmother come in? Then a candidate will start calling people and using that information to drive up the turnout. But that you can't do that. If you're observing, you're there to observe. You're not there to become a reconnaissance for the candidates.
Yeah. All right. Good point. Thank you, Remy. That's Remy Garza, our Cameron County Elections Administrator. Ivan Ramon is our Hidalgo County Elections Administrator. Final altar call. We just got a couple of minutes left. So 800-580-8255. Sergio at KURV.com, Sergio at KURV.com. We are broadcasting live at News Talk 710 KURV Facebook Live.
What do Vamos, Lexus, and Pebble Beach have in common? One chance of a lifetime. 2 golfers playing for the future of our young students in RGV. 3 golf courses at Pebble Beach. And 4 days of complimentary golf, travel, and resort. In anticipation of the 25th anniversary of the prestigious annual Vamos Golf Tournament, North Park Lexus of the Rio Grande Valley invites you to support raising scholarship money for college education for graduating seniors in the RGV area. For only $100, please support by purchasing the coolest raffle ticket you've come across in a while. Play Pebble Beach for a portion of $100,000 prize money on behalf of Vamos, sponsored by Lexus Champions for Charity. Support the Valley Alliance of Mentors for Opportunities and Scholarships. Call or visit North Park Lexus RGV today, or find us online for additional details, or contact Vamos directly. But don't delay. Prize drawing is scheduled for November 7th. North Park Lexus RGV reserves the right to make sure you too can help make a dream come true.
710 KURV is operated by our communications group.
About 4 minutes left in the special news broadcast, Election 2020. A very big thank you to our elections administrators, Hidalgo County, Ivan Ramon, Cameron County, Remy Garza. A reminder, folks, you have until a week from tomorrow, early vote. Election day is November 3rd. And in both counties right now, you can vote anywhere. 31 locations, I believe, Hidalgo County, and 23, 24 in Cameron County. You see, vote here, you can vote there. Just have your ID with you and take care of your vote. Otherwise, election day, Hidalgo County, you can vote anywhere because it's a countywide. All polling locations, you can vote anywhere, Hidalgo County. Not so much in Cameron County yet, Remy. So come Cameron County, election day, November 3rd, remember your precinct location because you will be limited to that specific location. How do you find your location, Remy?
If they give us a call at 544-0809, or they can go to CameronVotes.com and find your location. And you can follow us on Facebook because we will be posting those links to those specific pages. And if anybody has any questions, though, please call us. There's a lot of information out there. Some people are concerned that it's got to come from a trusted source. So please access our website or access our Facebook page at Cameron Votes as well. And you'll get the right information so that you don't have any trouble on election day. If you before you vote, essentially get the information before you go to the polls, especially look at your sample ballot.
Yvonne, in the just a couple of minutes that we have, just a final thought, observation, something you really want voters to know in Hidalgo County.
I really want voters to be prepared. I really want voters to be informed. So the best thing that they can do to make sure that they vote quickly and efficiently is to know what is on your ballot. So many different types of ballot styles that we have, 118 different ways that a voter can vote. So go to our website, pull your sample ballot. You can even print it in yellow. You can mark it, fold it up nicely, take it with you to the polls. That way you open it up very confidentially and privately. You use it to vote because remember, no straight ticket voting. This election, now it begins. No more straight ticket voting. No more just filling in a little bubble on your paper ballot or pressing one button on the voting equipment machine. You have to vote race by race. So be informed, make your choices, take it to the polls and be quick and efficient. And don't forget to self-check and make sure that if you are not feeling well, that you help the community by staying safe and being safe and helping protect everyone that is at a polling location. And of course, your family members as well. So let's get out there, let's be informed, and let's go vote. Let's make these numbers go through the roof.
Remy, let me give you about 30 seconds. Final thought, something you really need to get out there.
Just make sure you know what you're going to do at the polling place. It'll get you in and out a lot quicker. Bring your identification so we can find you, and don't hesitate to vote provisional if that's what the circumstances call for.
And you can bring the sample ballot with you when you print it in.
Yes, you can carry that in.
Folks, thank you. And always, really, we're very blessed to have both of y'all as the leaders of elections here in South Texas. We have awesome teams. And I speak from firsthand knowledge as a former chairman for the GOP in Hidalgo County working with these offices. We have great election teams. thank you for helping us out, and keep sending your questions. We got more interviews with these folks coming up in the near future. It's 10 o'clock. This is the Sergio Show.
History is unfolding, and you're listening to it on News Talk 710 KURV, Edinburgh, a station operated by R Communications, LLC.
Democrats didn't show up. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
Mrs. Feinstein.